I'm Mike Doherty, and you're watching the E3 edition of Doherty Report on Chiptooth Gaming. What is up, players? It is day 3 of E3 press conferences. The show floor is still closed, and Sony is second to last going in press conference, with Nintendo going today. Now let's really dive deep into what Sony needed to do going into the press conference and see if they really did what they were supposed to do in the press conference, and how everyone, not only just me, but the whole Twitter sphere feels after the Sony press conference. Out of the big three, out of Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, I feel like Sony was in the best position going into the press conference. They have the momentum, they just needed to keep it going. And did they succeed? I really think that they kept the momentum, but I don't feel like they didn't fire on all cylinders like they were supposed to. One thing Sony could have done to keep the momentum, not only keep the momentum, but win E3 altogether, was announcements of release dates. Now, I know I can't really knock them for things they didn't show, games that they don't have or didn't have ready for E3, but if they would have came out and said Detroit's coming out this day, God of War's coming out this day, Days Gone's coming out this day, I feel like that would have given bigger pops to the conference and would have given a lot more weight, especially if those 2 or 3 of those exclusives were coming out this year. I think that would have been a heavy hitter and really would have overshadowed the Microsoft press conference, the Ubisoft press conference, and Nintendo coming out tomorrow with their press conference. But alas, they didn't, which is okay. The game is ready when it's ready. But what are we getting this year? Actually, first, let's run down what actually was at the conference. So the show opened up with the Uncharted, the Lost Legacy, the Elena and Nadine side story, the prequel to the Uncharted. Really exciting, really cool to see. We didn't need to see it, though. We've seen too much of this game. It's awesome that it's basically a full-fledged Uncharted game, not really DLC anymore, but a complete spin-off, which is awesome, but we're seeing too much of it. They could have just not shown it, or basically said, oh yeah, this is coming out in August. They showed way too much of it, I think. It was cool to see, really love those characters, really cool to see the bad guy, but didn't really need to be there, and we already knew it was coming, so no big surprise there. From Uncharted, we went right into the Horizon DLC. It looked, of course, more like Horizon. More Horizon, which is a good thing for everybody. And, of course, boom, 2017 release date, which is always good to hear. More content for Horizon. I think that is going to play into Horizon's Game of the Year talk, because it's going to be fresher in our mind near Game of the Year voting time. More Horizon is never really bad, so I'm down for it. Again, it's just DLC. We knew they were having story DLC, so it was cool to see the little bit of a surprise, but it wasn't all the way there. And then, boom, out of nowhere, Shadow of the Colossus remake just completely dropped. Like, I couldn't believe it. When I saw this Japan Studio logo come out, I was like, oh, like, this is Shadow of the Colossus. And when the Blue Point logo came up, I was like, okay, yeah, this is the remake of Shadow of the Colossus. There's no doubt about it. I cannot believe that they are doing this. I can't believe they are remaking Shadow of the Colossus, basically doing what they did to Crash Bandicoot, remaking it from the ground up. I can't wait to jump into this game, not only because I didn't play Shadow of the Colossus, and the only reason I didn't play Shadow of the Colossus was because of the controls. So I'm super interested to see if they're actually going to update the controls more for a modern audience. It was so awesome to see, and it was a big win for the Japanese side of gaming. And on top of that, speaking of the Japanese side of gaming, Monster Hunter. There's a new Monster Hunter announced at the E3 conference. It looked, I'm going to be honest, it looked terrible. Now, I know Monster Hunter is a big deal. I'm not a big Monster Hunter player. It looked really bad. The game looked really glitchy. There was one point where he was running through the tunnel, as you're seeing now. He was running through the tunnel. It just looked clunky, and it just looked like it didn't really work. But for the people who love Monster Hunter, of course, they're going to love this. This is just more Monster Hunter. It's not the prettiest game, and it's not going to run the best, but it's Monster Hunter, exactly what you expect. So, and again, it doesn't really look like Monster Hunter, or it looked foreign to me. But I'm really excited. Monster Hunter fans are going to have a Monster Hunter game to play on PS4. And then after that, this press conference really took a hit, and we were chugging along in the VR section. Just the VR section just seemed like it never ended. It was meh games. I mean, we knew Skyrim VR was coming, which is cool. Doom VR, it's cool. We saw those at Bethesda's conference, so it was just more of things that we already knew. There's another game that there's a couple games that were shown that didn't really necessarily need to be VR. It's going to be interesting to see how they play, because they're more like the side-scroller fashion games, so I don't know how that's going to work in VR. I don't know if it's necessary. We could have gotten that without the VR experience, but I am very excited to see where it goes from there. Also, in the beginning, I completely forgot, they showed Days Gone. They showed not really a story piece, but more character to the characters, if that makes any sense. More personality, more depth to the characters. And on top of that, more gameplay that wasn't just hordes of zombies that just looked more of the same like zombie games. It actually showed us why Days Gone kind of stands out from other zombie games, and it's really cool. It has a really cool aspect of it's like The Last of Us mixed with Horizon, which is a really awesome thing to watch. And then the big guns came out, God of War, and oh sweet good lord, it looks so good. God of War, the new God of War, basically is giving more depth to Kratos. He has a son now, and they are in Norse mythology. That's right, they are gonna be fighting Thor. They're gonna be fighting Loki. It just looks so good. It doesn't look like the same boring Kratos. The action looks awesome. He has the axe instead of the Blaze of Chaos. Really, it's everything that the people who weren't into God of War wanted God of War to be, and we're finally getting it. Again, not coming out this year, which I'm not seeing it with the 2017 release date. Really, I felt like kind of like just didn't make the conference as epic as it could be. Of course, game's ready when it's ready, but I think having one of these big games ready for 2017 would have been a very big win and a very big overall arching E3 win for Sony. And after God of War, we saw the Marvel vs. Capcom story trailer. It looks awesome. It looks exact like it just has Mega Man and Dante and just like these awesome characters all together. I'm excited to play this game, and I'm not a big fighting game fan at all. And the fact that they have a story, which is something that Capcom really lacked on with Street Fighter V, I'm excited that they're going to have a full-fledged story to this. And it's not going to come out in little bits and pieces like they did for Street Fighter V. It's going to be all there day one, and I'm really excited to get into the story because I'm not good at fighting games. Anybody can beat me at a fighting game, so I'm excited that I can play it just myself and play through the story and have a good time playing with these characters that I love and know. And to cap off all this excitement on the Sony press conference, they wanted to end with their best game, Knack 2. No, I'm just fucking with you. They ended with SpiderMan PS4, and good God, this game looks so good. They showed gameplay for the first time ever, and oh God, it is exciting. There's a little too many quick time events in my opinion. I don't just like being told to press a button to get through a boss, but it looked very fluid the way he could swing. I noticed that it's not attaching to the top of roofs when he's swinging through the city. It's attaching to the side of roofs, so it's very exciting. I'm very excited to see how the mechanics pan out. Overall, I cannot believe Sony landed this as an exclusive, and it looks awesome. Insomniac Games is crushing it from everything we've seen. I actually think I've seen more story in the PS4 Spider-Man trailer than I did in all the Activision Spider-Man games. And that's saying a lot. I cannot wait to jump into this game. Open world superhero games really always have the key to my heart because they're so near and dear to me always, but Spider-Man is just such a beloved character, not only to me, but to so many, and I just can't believe they landed this exclusive. So excited, and I like that they're making it their own with the white spider and the obscure villain. They're really diving in to make this game their own and not really canon with the rest of the Marvel stories, which is really exciting to see a developer kind of take it and put their own spin on it. We also saw Miles Morales at the end of the trailer, the Puerto Rican Spider-Man, of course, that we all know in the comics right now. Overall, there was a lot there at the Sony conference, and I think the VR section was the only time that I got bored, and not only got bored, but just really didn't have that Sony kick-ass just vibe to it was the VR section. But other than that, overall, this conference was awesome, but it was all games we've seen before. And not only games we've seen before, but games that are coming out next year for the most part, other than the DLCs and the spin-offs. So it's nothing new that we're getting this year. So I really think that took the wind out of the sails of Sony, and the fact that these are all next year, that we're probably going to see most of these games at next year's E3 really bothers me that we didn't see anything new. Where's Sucker Punch's game? We didn't see Sucker Punch's game, and they've been ready to go since Second Son, actually technically Infamous First Light, the DLC to Second Son, came out, and they've been ready to go. I'm ready to see their game, and the fact that we didn't see it there it's mind-blowing that we haven't seen the Sucker Punch game. So I'm torn. I'm torn on really whose I like better, but I think overall Microsoft's conference came out on top between the big two. Now, will Nintendo change that tomorrow morning? Probably not, because they're Nintendo and they don't know how to do anything, really. besides make really cool, interesting hardware. Other than that, and really awesome games, but they don't know how to do the hype train Sony knows how to do. And Sony brought it with the hype train, the whole experience of the conference, but overall Microsoft showed new things. They showed new hardware. There was more excitement, I feel, around the Microsoft conference. Even though the Sony games, I was more interested in the things Sony showed, Microsoft showed new things, and even though they were more of the meh games, they were new games, and a lot of them were coming out this year. On top of that, Anthem was shown at the Microsoft conference, and that game looks amazing. The fact that Anthem was at the Microsoft conference, I think, puts it just barely above Sony in terms of press conference. I'm just like, it's like right there. Otherwise, I think Sony would have taken it if Anthem wasn't at the Microsoft conference. Actually, I think if Anthem wasn't at the Microsoft conference at all, I think that Sony would have taken it by a large margin. But they didn't. Anthem was at the Microsoft conference. Sony closed with a strong SpiderMan, but it wasn't dated for 2017, and I really think that killed the wind in their sails. What did you think of the E3 press conferences so far? Let me know in the comments down below. Let's have a conversation. E3 is an exciting time for all gamers. I love seeing the conversation and the speculation going around at E3. On top of this Sony news, we did get a Knack 2 release date for this year, which is exciting. We got Ni no Kuni 2 coming this year, which is really exciting. There's games coming out this fall, which is, again, what Sony needed, and I think actually taking out the VR section of the press conference and putting it in the pre-show like they did with the other games, and then putting Ni no Kuni, Hot Shots Golf, and Knack on the press conference show reel, I think that would have really helped them. I think that maybe could have put them over Microsoft. I don't know. That's not how it went, but that's what I think. But what do I know? I'm just a guy in my bedroom filming. That wraps it up for me today, guys. Go ahead and like and subscribe down below. Go ahead and share the video. It helps us get bigger and grow to be able to give you more content and more gaming news and reviews and everything else you want to see right here on Chiptooth Gaming. If you want to see the last Doherty report from the Microsoft Xbox conference, click right here. If you want to see the last Chiptooth podcast where we predict the E3 predictions and have a bet on the line, click right there. And thank you. You've been beautiful bastards. I'll see you later.